Hello, friends, and welcome into NFL Daily. I am your host, Tom Downey, here to talk about the Carolina Panthers. They search for their new head coach. They have fired head coach Ron Rivera. He leaves as the winningest coach, actually, in franchise history, a pair of Coach of the Year awards. But it was pretty much time for Rivera to go. The playoff success had dissipated since that 2015 season in which they lost in the Super Bowl. Actually, fun fact here, Ron Rivera never had back-to-back winning seasons in Carolina. Kind of crazy, right? I think you might see Rivera get another head coaching job, maybe even this year, but the regression for Carolina and Rivera, it was time. Beyond that 2015 season, really wasn't a whole lot to write home about, and in the NFL, it's a what have you done for me now lately? There hadn't been that much there for Ron Rivera. So should they have fired him? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'm not surprised that they've made the move. Maybe I'm a little bit surprised at the timing of it. You promote Rhule as the interim head coach. Still got games left in the year. I guess Carolina wants to get a jump start on that coaching search. So with that in mind, let's take a look at the top 10 candidates for this Carolina Panthers head coaching job. At number 10, it's a name I think most of us are familiar with. That's Mike McCarthy, the former Packers head coach. Now, he interviewed last year with the Browns and the Jets. I don't know how well those interviews went, but maybe a full year off will kind of kickstart McCarthy's desire and possibility of getting back into the NFL. Much like Ron Rivera, though, things kind of regressed at the end of his tenure. Number 9, Jason Garrett. I can see some of the groans already. Make no mistake, he is firmly on the hot seat right now with the Dallas Cowboys. And I kind of agree with Jerry Jones, though. If Garrett does get fired, I think there's a pretty good chance he gets hired by a new team. The NFL loves a good retread, and that's what Jason Garrett would be. And it's not that Garrett has been bad, much like the same way Ron Rivera wasn't bad for Carolina. It's that it just wasn't good enough. And speaking of those two, I'll let you guys in on a secret. They're the same. Look at what they've done since 2011, which, by the way, was the first year both Ron Rivera and Jason Garrett were the full-time head coach. Garrett was the interim in 2010. The win-loss records, almost identical. The playoffs, not that much success. Winning seasons, actually one more in favor of Jason Garrett. They've both won their division 3 times. The main difference is that Ron Rivera made it to the Super Bowl one year and did not win. They're really not that different of a coach. So if you're Carolina, or on the flip side, if you're Dallas, I don't really think you want either. But let's say, hypothetically speaking, you have to pick one. Who would you rather have as your head coach in 2020? Is it Garrett? Is it Rivera? Now, if you're watching on YouTube, you might get an ad break here. So while that's happening, scroll down to the pinned comment and type your G's or your R's. Moving on now to number 8. I don't think Carolina's going to go defense here. I think they're going to focus in on offensive mind, so you'll see plenty of that here in just a second. Robert Saleh, though, he might be the top defensive mind out there. I think Matt Eberflus could also be thrown out here. If Carolina wants to go defense again, and historically you often see teams pivot from defense to offense and vice versa, I think the Niners DC, who there were calls to fire him last year, and is now coaching one of the best units in college football, or in the NFL, would make quite a bit of sense for Carolina if that's the route they want to go. I know we got a lot of Panthers fans watching this video. Maybe you want a new Christian McCaffrey jersey, because God, how good has he been? If you want one, head over to chatsports.com/NFL jersey. And if you want a different player or heck, just other Panthers gear, it's also on sale there. chatsports.com/NFL jersey. 25% off Panthers items and up to 50% if it's not just a jersey there. And don't worry, if you're not a Panthers fan, there's other jerseys there too. It's chatsports.com/NFL jersey. Check the comments, check the description. I've got the link in there for you guys. On to number 7, John DeFilippo, who a couple years ago was the hot young name, right? He was the Eagles quarterbacks coach. People wanted him. Goes to Minnesota with the mindset of, hey, I'm going to be the OC for a year, make the jump to the NFL. As head coach, and didn't really work out there. Now with Jacksonville, I'd say he's had to stock, but maybe not as much as he did in the first half of the year. I will make note, though, the Jags not making the playoffs actually helps him. NFL teams don't like to wait for a head coach. DeFilippo will be available as soon as the year ends. Panthers fans probably know him a little bit more than the casual NFL fan. This is number 6 Pete Carmichael, the offensive coordinator for the Saints. And it's a little weird to me that Pete Carmichael doesn't get really any hype for a head coaching job. I mean, we've seen Andy Reid offensive coordinators get the job, even if they're like Carmichael, and they don't really call the plays. Now, Carmichael has at various points before, but he's not the main play caller. Of course, that's Sean Payton. But he's been under Payton since 2009. God, it's been 10 years. Isn't it time for him to maybe get a head coaching job? And if you're the Panthers, maybe there is a little bit of incentive there to poach a top assistant from an in-division rival. A big name here at number 5. That is Jim Harbaugh, who, by the way, if you want to put any stock into the betting favorites, I don't really for head coaching searches. I definitely do for in-games. Jim Harbaugh is the betting favorite for this job. He's, of course, had success at the NFL level and at the collegiate level. Of course, he's been unable to beat Ohio State. He's been a 10-win, for the most part, guy at Michigan. I truly question if he would leave his alma mater, especially right now. I think Harbaugh is a very good coach. I think he would work well in Carolina. I think owner David Tepper would be able to pay him quite a bit of money. But if Harbaugh leaves Michigan right now, he would, maybe not as a full-fledged failure, but it wouldn't be the success, right? Never beats Ohio State. Doesn't get Michigan where they want to be in the college football playoff. Now, there is a connection already in place. The former Michigan analyst Scott Turner, who held that job before he came over to Carolina to join his dad, Norv, is the new play caller in the OC, as Carolina kind of gives him a little trial run. So there's a connection there. I just have a tough time seeing Harbaugh making the jump to the NFL right now. Now, maybe down the road he does make the move. So do you think Harbaugh will return to the NFL? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. If he does, I just don't know if the Carolina job is the job he would have his eye on in the end. We mentioned Harbaugh was the betting favorite. You can bet on anything NFL related at BetDSI. Chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code NFL120. It gets you a 120% deposit bonus. And that's chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code, and I don't know, maybe you want to bet against Carolina the rest of the way, given that, frankly, it's time to embrace the tank and get a higher draft pick if you're the Panthers. Moving on out to number 4, we mentioned Andy Reid OCs briefly earlier. His current one is Eric Bieniemy. Again, he is the Chiefs OC, but much like Pete Carmichael, does not call the plays. Of course, if you want to, not scout the coach and scout the track record and the history, Andy Reid OCs have a pretty good track record in the NFL becoming head coaches. Now, Bieniemy last year interviewed for 4 different head coaching jobs. In the end, he did not get any of them. I thought the Bengals job was going to be his best bet. They, of course, hired Zach Taylor, and they are bad this year. But I think this time around, he will certainly get interviews. Maybe this time he ends up getting promoted and becomes a head coach somewhere in the NFL. Number 3, this is my sleeper pick for Carolina because I haven't seen too much of a connection here. I think it makes a lot of sense. Kevin Stefanski, the current Vikings offensive coordinator, his first year as the full-time Viking OC. Remember last year, he kind of took over as the interim when John DeFilippo was forced out. I think he's done a good job in Minnesota. Kirk Cousins has been more efficient, especially after a bit of an iffy start to the season. He also, by the way, interviewed for the Cleveland Browns job last year. And the reports were that the Browns' analytical side of things wanted to hire Stefanski and not Freddie Kitchens. Well, guess what Carolina has already indicated they want? 2 main things: an offensive mind and an analytical coach. Stefanski makes a lot of sense and checks quite a few boxes, although he's not the best fit as a current OC. Get to him in a little bit. Before that, though, number 2, that is Matt Rhule, the head coach at Baylor. I cannot underestimate the incredible job that Matt Rhule has done. Now, he has interviewed for NFL jobs before. The Giants and Jets jobs, he got interviews. Rebuilt Temple, and the job he's done at Baylor, I mean, that turnaround is insane. To go from 1-11 to 7-6 to 11-1. That Baylor program, when Matt Rhule took over, it was about to be dead. I would not have been surprised if it tilted the wrong way and they became worse than Kansas. Instead, Baylor's already back at the top of the Big 12. He's coached offense and defense. The NFL is high on him. And you wonder about the timing, too. The timing of the firing of Ron Rivera. You can't technically get a head start on current NFL coaches. They have jobs right now. But college coaches, once Matt Rhule is over with the Big 12 Conference or Championship, you can maybe get him before the bowl game. Maybe that's a possibility. But at number 1, this one seems to be not quite a consensus, but the most popular pick for Panthers and Panthers media. That's Greg Roman. And he's done a fantastic job with mobile quarterbacks. The job he's done this year with Lamar Jackson is very impressive. I know he got fired in 2016 with Tyrod Taylor. That wasn't his fault. Rex Ryan needed a scapegoat to cover up his bad defense. And things at the end of the San Francisco tenure kind of, fell apart in 2014. But look at the job he did before that year. 12th, 9th, 12th. It's all, of course, in points per drive because they run the football super effectively. Oh, wait, Carolina's got Christian McCaffrey. Be a really good fit. Now, I don't know how much you want to run Cam Newton if you bring him back, but you can find a mobile quarterback to fit this mold. And if you want an offensive mind and an analytical option, Greg Roman, part of a Ravens staff and front office and just team overall that has really embraced that this past year. Roman would be a great fit then. So if you can land him, and I think he's one of your first calls, I think he should be at the top of the list for a team like Carolina. Those were my top 10. Let me know what you guys think. Who should the Carolina Panthers hire? I know we left off a lot of names. Dabo's not coming. Lincoln Riley is not going to come either. And I'm sure we'll get at least one comment about Bill Cowher. I don't think he's coming back out of retirement either. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section.